Lessons at EA Fusion, Part 2. A bit of a tangent here. My mother told me as a preteen that mankind is a problem-solving beast, and when he has no problems, he creates them. There are many parallels to her words. Idle hands are the devil's workshop, and so forth. Of course, my mother's caution was more specifically aimed at me to not grow up to be like my father, Silver. Apparently, my father was prone to create problems if ever he had any downtime. This can unfortunately translate to people at work creating problems, like my father did, usually subconsciously sabotaging things so they have more things to do or ways to shine. Sometimes, people even intentionally created problems through lackadaisical attitude or willful harm. And with that, let's resume my sharing some of my lessons at EA Canada and its Fusion business unit. An executive vice president shared a great quote that stuck with me over the years. People underestimate what they can accomplish in 3 years, but overestimate what they can do in 1 year. The idea that people will make all sorts of incredible plans to achieve amazing goals, but invariably fail to accomplish them within too small of a time box that they gave themselves. And so they get frustrated, or if it was a group or a company effort, it is aborted or project canceled outright, and the involved people potentially fired from their jobs. The bottom line is expectations dashed translate to punitive actions. And yet, if people embrace a huge project that spans multiple years, they tend to underestimate what they can accomplish, even with careful planning and course correction. It was all about aligning expectations according to the time and resources available, and making sure upfront planning, prototyping, and foundation laying are invested in before content is made, and ensuring there were healthy but minimally intrusive checkpoints and big milestones as waypoints along the way. Indeed, with active management, people can achieve amazing things over 3 years, but they will usually fail to achieve even good enough things in just 1 year. It is the overestimation that translates to numerous failures. Late schedule, cut promised features, over budget, missed marketing windows, contract costs and issues, low morale, resignations, so many problems. It is underestimation that leads to failure, from things like unimpressive, non-innovative, lackluster products that few people want, much less will pay real money for. Whether it is over 1, 2, or 3 years, delivering less results in a less product, and therefore a lesser experience for the consumer. Also, underestimation is an easy way to not be approved to make another product. Frustration and disappointment in failure to promise enough or to deliver against expectations, regardless if they were unrealistic to begin with or not, typically will kill most efforts from ever finishing. It was a simple phrase. You cannot lose a week in a day. I loved that phrase. You cannot lose a week in a day. Whenever people were surprised their team was going to be late on a specific deliverable or a date that had recently been promised or assured was on track, I would query, how did you lose a week in a day? I made clear that recently they had reported a rosy story for the team and the project, and then a couple of days later, They declare they might miss their milestone and be a week or more late. And so I would ask, how did you lose so much time in a day? Of course, there is no good answer other than an external event shattered the best planning. However, it was a very rare day there was any plan-shattering event. No, it was the person was not paying attention and was just saying what they imagined was going on without actually looking and verifying themselves. Sometimes they took their team's word for "it's all good" status, but they again did not look themselves. Usually people lose a week in a day because they were asleep at the wheel. A producer shared with me a particularly effective, albeit vulgar image for how people might view working interactions with each other. He described an imaginary fanny pack. That's a waist pack, like a waist bag, a hip bag that's attached to every person at work. Everybody has their own little waist bag. Throughout the day, the crap that comes upon them is added into their bag, that they must empty that bag before they can rest at night. Shit happens all by itself, and that crap goes into the bag. People ask for things, and that crap goes into the bag. Managers and supervisors demand things, and that crap goes into the bag. Relationships and family challenges at home. Well, that crap goes into the bag. Pets, household woes, money challenges. All that crap goes into the bag. The idea is simple. There is a lot of stuff, crap, in your bag. You have a bag of crap at all times. And we must do stuff to empty our bag. Stuff takes time and effort to get rid of, so it detracts from the things that we are supposed to otherwise be doing in our lives and for our jobs. The first advice here may seem obvious. Avoid putting more crap in your bag and avoid putting crap in other people's bags. They have enough of their own stuff in their bags, and so adding to their bags will only encourage them to dislike you, even if it is subconscious. And if you can take shit out of someone else's crap bag, they will generally be very appreciative and will certainly speak well of you should the situation arise in the future. And if you do not offer to take the shit, it might be shoveled your way anyway, and then you will not get recognized for being the shit cleaner that you are. I am sure it is apparent through my tales that I strongly believe every single person needs at least one single defining thing that showcases their strengths and quantifiable, measurable value to the rest of the world. Many chats and mentorship sessions, I have stressed the importance of identifying one or two things that the person was truly awesome at, and finding the job or responsibilities that maximized those things they were awesome at. As a rule, I discouraged people from pursuing more than two awesome talents because most people imagine they have more awesome talents than they really do, and they cannot differentiate mediocrity from greatness, at least not within themselves. Such is often the case. Those that are not great are so ignorant that they perceive themselves to be great. And likewise, ungreat people will follow the false greatness because they too cannot differentiate true greatness from bravado and deception. It becomes a dangerous cycle when a collection of ungrate, unqualified people are propelled into management or leadership positions, and they naturally draw in people that sound awesome like they do, but are not. And so the ungrates destroy companies and teams because they willfully or ignorantly hire less capable, ungrate people. Their chance to succeed in hiring truly amazingly great people to compensate for their ungrate weight around the necks of the organization is quite low. It became clear to me that the world was chock full of ungrate people. They were not bad, but they were merely unqualified or incapable of doing the work required of them. It was no different than asking me to run a marathon. I just could not do it. I could never have run a marathon given my health. Osseous bars in my feet, overweight most of my life, and a spasmodic heart, Prince Metal's angina. Just not going to happen. Add to that my high blood pressure and other random maladies. Of course, later on, add the full meal deal of neurodegeneration and neuropathy. My point is this: expecting someone to do something that is literally beyond their ability to accomplish is unfair, and it is setting them up for failure. It is much more valuable to have an honest conversation with a person put into an impossible to succeed position and find a different role for them that plays to their strengths. And if they truly have no identifiable strengths relevant for the industry being worked in, then I again hate to say it, they need to leave. The rest of the team should not suffer compensating for them as dead weight because management did not have the inner confidence or prowess to handle it head on, and ideally respectfully. Keeping someone on the team that cannot pull their own weight hurts them in the long run due to unlikely career progression and potential eventual firing, and the team they're on because they suffer having to work much harder and longer hours to take up the slack left by these less capable people. Honestly, dead weight hiding in corporate folds of fat is a hot button for me. A bit cliche, it makes my blood boil to see people lose their quality of life because someone else is dragging them down. It was clear to me, working with people is hard, whereas working with computers is easy. I had to improve my people skills if I wanted to rise further in mega corporations. And the more senior you were in a company, the more autonomy and control you would have over your choices, assignments, and destiny. And all of these lessons that I was learning would help me become a more senior leader.